What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. As you can see, we are joined by writer, MLB insider for Fansided, Robert Murray, going to join us, talk to us a little bit about the MLB trade deadline as a whole, but also what the Mets could be looking to do, what he's been hearing, what he's been seeing, all stuff that you need for an MLB trade deadline preview coming to you right now on the Mets'd podcast. Before we bring him in and let him introduce himself, make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel so you see the video version of this. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Robert, thank you for joining us. How's it going? How's the trade deadline season treated you so far?
It has been, first of all, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It's been pretty active. The Devers trade definitely caught me off guard when that happened. I was thankful enough to be breaking that one. And then we had a trade the other day. So it's been busy, but it's the calm before the storm. There's not much percolating quite yet, but I think once the end of the month gets here, I am not going to be running on much sleep at all. I'm just going to have coffee and vibes just running through my veins. So I'm ready to do it.
Yeah, trade deadline feels like the Super Bowl for the insider of any sport. It's definitely the hot time of year. So there's been a lot of rumors going around about some teams buying, some teams selling. Is there one player you can give us just to start this up that maybe some people aren't talking about, a bigger name that you think actually could get moved?
That's a great question. And I have been asking around about this a lot, and nobody around the league really sees like a true like elite name going. Like Devers is probably going to be the biggest name that's going to be moved. But I would look in a bunch of different areas, but specifically, I think a guy like Steven Kwan could end up making some sense here if the Guardians do indeed sell. He's controllable. He's a guy who's super talented. We even saw Jeff Passan kind of mention his name the other day, and I think there's something to that. I don't know if the Guardians necessarily really want to move him at this point, but if they continue to slide and they fall out of the postseason race, you've seen them in years past where they've sold guys before they've had to give them like the true big payday. And he definitely represents a guy who is going to get paid eventually. So if they can get a lot of value for him now and maximize a market where there's not like really that many great names available, I think that's something that they would be open to. That being said, do I expect him to be moved? Probably not. But I think he is definitely going to be the subject of phone calls. And I'll go to the pitching side here. He's not a big name by any means, but Mets fans know about him because he was with the team recently. But it's Jose Quintana with the Milwaukee Brewers. I haven't seen that many people connect him to specific trade rumors by any means, but the Brewers have a lot of pitching depth. And they obviously have Jacob Mizorowski now, who's kind of taken the league by storm. And if they can flip Quintana and shed that salary, which honestly is not that much, but for a small market team like the Brewers, could make a difference there. I could see Quintana being a guy that's on the move in the next few weeks. So I would mention those two guys.
Yeah, the Brewers just have like 9 major league caliber pitchers. They have Tobias
Almost
Myers
10.
and Logan Henderson in AAA right now.
And
those
Chad
guys
Patrick.
would be Chad Patrick, and those guys would be on most major league rotations. What I'm going to do for you, Robert, is we're going to give you 5 players. We're going to ask you whether or not you think they will be traded at the deadline. You can give us your reasoning as to why as well, but this is going to be do you think they get traded or not? And first, we're going to go with Emmanuel Clase. Do you think he's traded at the deadline?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to say no, but I'm not confident in that answer. And there's so many there's so many relievers that are going to be available, and we ended up seeing last year just the price of the relievers that were going. Like Tanner Scott went for a bunch, Jason Adam went for a bunch. There was a bunch of guys who commanded top return for in trade talks here, and we even saw it the other day with a trade between the Orioles and the Rays where a reliever went for a pretty high draft pick. So that would signal once again that the relief prices are going to be really high, and if you're a team like the Dodgers or any contending team who really needs an elite pitcher in the back end of the bullpen, I think you make that phone call to the Guardians and see what it would take. I don't expect the Dodgers to be the team that would get him if he is moved, but I expect him to be the subject of a lot of phone calls, but I think the price is going to be too much for some of these teams to do it.
All right, Robert, the next one, Byron Buxton of the Twins.
Ooh, I don't think he's going to be moved either. No, I think the Twins are probably going to stand pat with him. I would look at some of their bullpen guys being more likely to be moved. And I've seen a bunch of Joe Ryan speculation about him possibly being moved. I can confidently say that the Twins have not had any conversations with teams.
That's disappointing as a Mets fan.
That
Yeah,
also
I'm
makes
sorry to hear that. I was sorry to like drop that bomb on you, but I mean things can change for sure. But I haven't gotten the sense that the Twins are really in a hurry to move him.
also from their perspective, why in the world would they trade Joe Ryan, one of the best pitchers in baseball, multiple years of control? Like that's one of those rumors that starts, and you're like, who started that rumor?
Yeah, things get out, and like you wonder, is like, what's the motive behind that getting out? But yeah,
All right, well, let's
no.
hit you with another guy then, because we heard this rumor coming out a little bit. Jarren Duran, do you think the Red Sox move on from him? Anthony taking some reps in left field the other day.
I think he's going to be moved. Yeah, I think there's a lot of smoke there, and my guess is he's probably going to be moved. I've seen the Padres buzz a lot. I mentioned it last year when Preller was trying to get him, and he's continued to try. And when AJ Preller wants a player, when he loves a player, he more often than not gets the player. I don't know if he's going to be the guy that gets him because the asking price there is going to be a lot, and I don't know how much depth the Padres really have to be able to get Duran and then some other pieces that they would need for the lineup or just the pitching staff in general. So I think he's moved. I don't think it's San Diego. I could be wrong. Betting against Preller is never a good bet. I honestly kind of regret even putting that in the air now. But I do think he's moved.
Another reliever. You mentioned some relievers before. Ryan Helsley of the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to be moved.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think so. That one's probably the least confident one that I'll give you. But the Cardinals are a very like odd team in the fact that they're in the offseason, they made it like plan A, B, and C that they wanted to trade Arenado. They did not because they viewed this as a retooling season, not a rebuilding, because they were quick to say it's not rebuilding, but they're contending this year. They're actually like exceeding expectations. I think shedding guys who are on expiring contracts makes sense, but I don't know. He seems like the guy that the Cardinals should trade, but they don't trade. That seems like, just something that they would end up doing or not doing.
Last guy of the five, La Pantera. Do the White Sox finally move on from Luis Robert Jr.?
No.
Wow.
Yeah. The value's just too low?
The value is just too low. And I mean, he's been hurt. I mean, he's battled injuries this season, and I mean, they would be selling really, really, really low. Like last year, his value was low, but it's lower now than it was then. And selling now, I mean, you probably get a lottery ticket in return. And I mean, either you're going to strike gold or you're going to be throwing that card away within a few weeks. So my guess is he stays. They try to extract some value from him in the offseason if he ends up bouncing back, which, I mean, I thought that was a safe bet by the White Sox. I thought it was good process last year by them holding on to him, especially after they had that just awful 3-team trade. Where they rightfully got ripped for that. But my guess is he stays. I also think Sandy Alcantara probably stays, is my guess. So this deadline's going to be active, but as one executive told me, it's probably not going to be very sexy. So, I mean, although the thing with Sandy is like the public opinion or just the opinion in baseball even a month ago is that he wasn't going to be moved, or I would say 2 months ago, that he wasn't going to be moved. Then he started showing some good signs. And then they're thinking, okay, maybe the Marlins do trade him, but he's come back down to earth recently. So my guess as of this point is probably not.
I feel like he's skipped coming back down to earth and has like gone straight through the crust of the earth, like down to the center. Because he's been so terrible the last few months. But with the deadline not being sexy, with not a lot of great players potentially being moved, it feels like just basically the whole league is buying, and the sellers are selling because they're so bad that they don't actually have any players to sell that any of these teams want. Is there a team that's like kind of stuck in the middle that knows they could sell if they'd like to, that could kind of change the scope of this deadline a little bit?
Oh, it's the Diamondbacks for sure. Like if they decide to sell, they're changing the entire deadline. All the calls are going to go from the 5 or 6 sellers to immediately going to the Diamondbacks because they have the starting pitching, they have offense, they have. I mean, they don't have much bullpen available anymore, considering that Shelby Miller is now on the IL with a forearm strain. Although I don't think that one's going to be necessarily too serious there by any means. But they hold the cards. If they sell, they're going to be going absolutely nuts here, and or teams are going to be going absolutely nuts because I don't get the sense that the Diamondbacks are super in a hurry to like do an actual rebuild. That's just something that Mike Hazen doesn't typically do. But if they moved one of their starting pitchers like a Zach Gallen or a Merrill Kelly, they become some of the more intriguing options on the market. Suarez on offense, like Naylor, you have, I mean, so many different guys. They could really just kind of take the league by storm. But if they do sell, it's not going to be anything like, they're not going to like tear the roster apart by any means. Not like what the Marlins did.
Turning a little bit more Mets specific now. This team's been struggling with relievers. They need relievers badly. Who do you think are some of the guys that the Mets could be looking to target on the trade deadline market this season?
I'll tell you, like Dickie Lovelady. I mean, they I'm glad they brought him back twice. I mean, that's oh my goodness. I mean,
Mets fans are going to be mad.
Besides the name, nothing that great.
No, I'm not kidding you. I was more upset with myself that because I reported the Lovelady signing to the Mets, but I was upset with myself I didn't get the name change. That was probably the most disappointing thing in my entire career. But one thing that David Stearns is really done very well is he's found guys that are not like the elite names by any means. And he's turned them into like very high quality relievers. And I saw it up close in Milwaukee when he ended up getting Drew Pomeranz at the deadline. He gave up Mauricio Dubon. And I remember a lot of people were thinking like, what is he doing? Like, has he lost his marbles? And I mean, I kind of thought so too. Cause I mean, Pomeranz, his career wasn't anything like that great at that point, but he turned into just a dominant reliever for them. And he's done it with starting pitching. He's done it with other bullpen guys. And I wouldn't look for like the big name by any means, but I would think considering the flexibility that he has from Steve Cohen, he'll have like the flexibility to do whatever he wants, but I would look for some more marginal names. And then maybe if you can end up getting somebody on offense that can make a difference, even defensively on offense or from that perspective, I think that's something that they would really look to do as well.
Kratz, we talk about HelloFresh a lot, but in the same fam is another option for you if you're looking to go on your little wellness journey or you're very picky in terms of what you're looking for ingredients-wise. You can go Green Chef this summer.
And I can heat and eat because this summer I've got like 3 days where I'm not doing anything. I'm sure those are going to get scheduled with something. Let's give me something super quick that I can heat up. The whole family's eating healthy and they're full.
Menus change weekly, 80-plus dietitian-approved weekly meal options. Green Chef makes it easy to find those meals to fit your lifestyle, so go check it out. FT fam, there is an exclusive offer. Make this summer your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50territory and use code 50territory to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50territory at greenchef.com/50territory.
Yeah, playing off that bigger picture on the Mets deadline, like you said, David Stearns has never been someone who's been uber aggressive in the past. We've kind of lamented that over the last week or so as the Mets keep throwing out these bullpen games. They have some great prospects that are still in AAA, like seem to be relatively ready for the major leagues, and there's no seeming urgency with any of it. Is there any chance at all you see the Mets going splashy, or do you just see David Stearns keep doing the things like you just said?
I think he's probably going to do the things that we were just talking about. Because, like, I'm sorry, I'm probably just delivering the worst news imaginable. But his history signifies that. I mean, obviously, like getting Juan Soto. I mean, that was a lot of that was probably Steve Cohen. I mean, obviously Stearns is like very involved with that. But I would look at him just being smart, trying to like build this thing where it's sustainable because he always has an eye in the future. He's not going to do like something crazy now. Where he gives up some big names in the farm system for a couple month rental. He's been very meaningful with how he's built the farm system. He's trying to build that thing back up where they don't just have to rely on free agency or the trade market to supplement the roster. So I would imagine the top prospects probably stay. I'd imagine you guys will probably be annoyed at the deadline. And I mean, hey, you got that right for sure. But no, I don't expect anything sexy. And I just don't know like the kind of sexy moves that can be made around the league. We're saying the word sexy a lot on this podcast.
But it's true though.
But hey, I'm here for it. I'm ready. We love that.
No, I mean, like you do look at the players that are available. You look at, again, James mentioned it earlier, like the bad teams that are bad. And you're like, there's not actually many good players that you want. Like the Orioles maybe have some of the more interesting players, but it feels like they might not be fully committed to selling either because they've been hot now for like the last month and a half and they're still kind of out of it, but it's the American League and it's so weak, so they're still kind of in it. It is a little bit disappointing though, because we talk about it on the podcast all the time. We're like, David Stearns doesn't do this. He doesn't go after these big guys. He values the prospects. To hear you say it's, God damn it, like we're normally the bearer of bad news. Like, so at least now our comment section will get off our backs for saying that David Stearns won't be doing anything on this one.
No, hey, I'm glad to take the pressure off you. I'm happy to take some heat because I mean, hey, I'm used to it. So this is familiar territory for me.
I think it's also funny, like just to the NL East, because you got Stearns versus Dombrowski, the Mets versus the Phillies. The Mets are chasing the Phillies just game and a half behind them the time we're recording this. Where Dombrowski goes into every single trade deadline like it's the last one of his life. Like he's like, I need to plug every single hole. These prospects are not real. They don't exist. Do you see the Phillies really pushing chips in? Because their timeline still is far ahead of the Mets relatively. Like they only have another turn or two with this core to actually make their big run. Zach Wheeler's like talking about retiring for like that's on the table for them. Do you see them pushing chips in, like trading an Aiden Miller, making an Andrew Painter available to get the exact players that they want and need to make a run?
I think you're going to be really frustrated by what the Mets don't do and what the Phillies end up doing. And I could see Dombrowski really being aggressive now. And oh man, I'm going to have your comment section hate me.
Yeah, perfect.
But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. But
I mean, it's the truth.
It is the truth. Yeah. And Dombrowski, he's going to be very aggressive in targeting bullpen options. I could see them looking for an outfielder as well. I think he's going to end up making some moves here where he tries to end up winning it all this year because you don't know what the future holds for Castellanos or JT Realmuto or Kyle Schwarber, because a couple of those guys are free agents at the end of the year. And if you can end up really supplementing the bullpen and getting one or two like really strong guys back there, that would be something that I firmly believe that he will end up doing and going out and trying to do, because not re-signing Jeff Hoffman and then going and getting the relievers that they did in the offseason, like Romano is not worked out there. It's been just a kind of disaster there overall. So if they can like right that wrong, I think that's going to be their definite priority at the deadline. But I would imagine it's going to be multiple moves for the Phillies, and I don't know who is going to be all untouchable for them, but I'd imagine a lot of their guys are going to be fair game in trade talks.
Yeah, we saw that Brian Baker got moved recently. You mentioned that earlier was essentially a first-round pick. Do we expect the price, not just on relievers, but just on everyone in general, to be even higher than it has been over the last couple of years because there are so few sellers?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that's the case. I think that's a great point by you, and it's going to be a seller's market, and the trade packages overall are going to be I think they're going to be quite like pricey here. And if we have some of those trades and we see the prices just be really high, I wonder if with the team that we talked about on the margins before, where it's like kind of deciding between buying and selling, sees that and is like, okay, we got to take advantage of this opportunity, and becomes like an aggressive seller. And I don't know exactly who that would be, or even if a team buys and sells. The Rays have done that in years past. Although with a new ownership change there, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of changed their thinking and were more leaning toward buying overall rather than some selling. Diamondbacks, I still don't know. Although they just continue to signal that they want to buy. I don't know who that team could be, but the next few weeks are going to be just fascinating to see how that entire thing plays out.
It feels like that scenario's kind of unfolded the last few years since they've expanded the playoffs. There hasn't really been that team yet that's gone like full throttle to take advantage of it. Like looking at those AL Central teams we talked about at the beginning of the show, like the Guardians have pieces to move. The Twins have tons of pieces to move, and they're also going through an ownership thing. But on the other side, they need to seemingly cut costs. And like you said no to Byron Buxton, you said no to Joe Ryan. What about a guy like in that division, like a Seth Lugo? Can a guy like Seth Lugo be on the move for a Royals team that's just kind of scratching and clawing to get near 500?
Yeah, I think he's definitely a guy who's going to be asked about. And I think there's a fair shot he's moved. Him, or I don't know about a Michael Wacha type by any means, but I could see a team like the Cubs being really interested in a guy like Seth Lugo. So I think he's going to be asked about plenty. The Royals are going to be a team that's going to be having plenty of conversations. It's not going to be like a crazy sell-off by them if they do sell. But they have the pieces, especially on the pitching side, where because you ask around the league, there's just not that many like great pitchers that are going to be available. And there's almost every contending team is saying the same thing. Like, we want pitching. But I don't know who exactly is going to be the big guy that's going to be moved, but Lugo is going to make a lot of sense. Wacha could make some sense too, although he's kind of struggled this year as well. I thought maybe Chris Sale, despite the injury, could be a kind of a candidate, but I heard pretty strongly yesterday that they're not going to move him. They're not even going to consider moving him or any guys that are controllable beyond 2025. So they do not want to move it. They want to like win and contend in 2026.
So Ozuna, that means, is probably available then.
I would imagine so.
Raisel.
But he's got 10-5 rights. I think that's something we got to keep in the back of our minds here.
And then the other one is Sean Murphy, because obviously with Drake Baldwin playing so well, I'm assuming they want to keep him too then because he's got multiple years, but we also know the contract's probably something they wouldn't hate moving off of.
I feel pretty strong that they're not going to move Murphy. So, I thought there could be this is my own speculation, but
of course,
Padres need a catcher. And I thought to myself, you know what? I could see Preller trying to swing big and just trying to go out and get Sean Murphy, but I don't even think he's going to have the opportunity to do so. So I would be flat out stunned. I promised some people actually on the podcast of my own, the Baseball Insiders. I said, if the Braves trade Sean Murphy, I would actually get another dog. So,
whoa, okay,
nice. So that
win-win.
is how strongly I feel about that.
AJ, we're in Vegas right now, and I have not had a lot of time to eat during the day. So
no.
What could we do?
I would love a Huel right now. Vanilla Huel would go down perfectly because when I have to skip meals because I'm too busy doing what you do in Vegas, which is not eat, I need a quick replacement, and Huel is the perfect thing.
I'm a chocolate guy myself. It's got the chocolate milkshake vibes to it. If you miss a meal, Huel can be your answer. If you're looking for a big protein boost, Huel can be your answer. So go check it out. Our friends at Huel are part of today's sponsorship. They've got you covered, spelled Huel. That black edition is a complete meal to feel full, focused, and ready for your day. Little prep, basically no prep. Shake it, open it. Huel has sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it. So go to Huel.com/foul and get Huel today with the exclusive offer for the FT fam of 15% off for new customers if you use the code, you know it, FOUL, minimum $75 purchase. Get after it.
There's another pitcher in the National League East that's getting some trade rumors. A favorite of mine who Mark chooses not to trust, but I'm begging him to believe this time. Edward Cabrera on the Marlins. He does have some team control, but as we saw last deadline, if you just call the Marlins and make an offer they like, they don't really care about team control. They'll trade anything that's not nailed down to the floor. Is he someone that's actually available this deadline?
I think he can be had for sure. The price is going to be a lot because he's a very talented guy. But the Marlins only have two like truly untouchables on that roster. It's Agustin Ramirez and Yuri Perez. And the rest of the guys they'll listen on and they'll see exactly what they can get. I wouldn't say that they're shopping Cabrera by any means. Like they're just listening. I think that's what 99.9% of players or their situations are right now. But knowing how Peter Bendix operates, I would imagine probably a fair shot he's going to be moved. I just don't know when or where, but I think there's a fair shot of that happening.
Has there been any noise around, not necessarily the prospects for the Mets, because we know what David Stearns does there, but with the major league-ish ready players, guys like Vientos, Beatty, Mauricio's kind of a group of guys right now that are all vying for 1 to 2-ish similar-ish positions. Some guys are playing well, some guys are playing poorly. That's a name that a lot of Mets fans think one of those three could be moved at the deadline. Anything on that?
I can't say I've heard anything along those lines, at least not as of this point. One thing that Stearns does is he keeps a pretty tight ship with the Mets. But that being said, like Vientos was really strong last year, and his numbers aren't the same as they were this year as they were last year. But if you're a team, you can see obviously if he gets a consistent playing time, he can be a very useful player for you. He can hit for power. Obviously a highly regarded player coming up through the minor league system. So I could see some teams being very enticed by him for sure. Okay, I thought that was a different text.
You almost get live news?
Almost breaking news.
Almost got live news, but that was not actually news. I was thinking we were going to be breaking some news.
I'd love to watch you write the tweet live. You're like, yes.
No, that'd be crazy. I mean, it's happened before, and I mean that'd be pretty crazy. It wouldn't have been Mets related. I can tell you that.
Okay, all right, good to know.
Bob, I was going to say, you are relatively young in the insider game. What is your favorite piece of news that you've broken over the last couple of years?
Oh, I would say Devers is now my current new favorite. Like breaking that trade was genuine rush.
That was like it wasn't, but it was the closest thing that we've had. I feel like in baseball to like the Luka trade, where it's just like, what, this guy like there?
Now?
No way.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I'll take you through it. It's all of a sudden it's like I'm sitting on my couch petting my dog, and I was just watching baseball, doing my thing, and then next thing I know, it's like I get a call, and I start talking to the guy, and he says like, "Bro, like shut up," and I'm like oh crap, like what's going on here? And he said that Devers was being traded to the Giants for Kyle Harrison, Hicks, and more. And I'm like, there's no way. And I text somebody, and he's like, yeah, it's legit. And I'm like, I gotta call one more person. This is too big of a scoop to like really. And I call, and there's silence on the end of the phone. He's like, yeah. I'm like, you're like, I asked him 5 times. I'm like, this is legit. Like, I'm not gonna look stupid. He's like, it's 100%. Like, I don't know how you found out, but it's right. And I tweet it, and next thing I know, like my phone just stops working. And the one text that I can remember, can I swear on here?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, like I all of a sudden I get a text from Jeff Passan, and it just says "Holy fuck," and it was crazy. It took like 10 minutes for everyone to get everyone to have it confirmed, but it was on Father's Day, and my dad's a huge Giants fan too. So that was really cool. So I talked to him after it all settled down. Like the adrenaline of that entire thing was crazy. So that's been my favorite. Tatis, his extension was a lot of fun. Jackson Merrill one, I knew about it for 36 hours before I broke it. So I had to sweat that one pretty hard, but it's, there's been some fun ones for sure.
So what happens on those kind of deals? Like when you know for 36 hours, someone's just telling you need to wait, and that's basically like you're not trying to like fuck their stuff up, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to maintain the relationship. And if you get scooped, like it happens. And that's happened to me before. I had the Logan Webb extension. I knew that one for about 24 hours, and I thought I was going to break that. And then the team just announced it for right under me. But it's a relationship driven game. It's a lot of fun. It's also a lot of work, and it's stressful. But I can't imagine doing anything else. Cause like breaking a big story, like breaking the Devers trade is like, it's like the best feeling in the entire world. Like,
James was calling my phone. I was in the car coming back from like a family party.
It was Father's Day.
Yeah, it was Father's Day, coming back from like a Father's Day thing. And my phone's ringing nonstop. And I'm just like, I'll call him later. And he's like, you need to look at Twitter right now. And I remember looking, I'm like, whoa. Rafael Devers. Oh my God.
It was bonkers. And I'm not kidding you. It was right after I broke it. I had Fabian Ardaya, who is the Dodgers beat writer for The Athletic, one of my like really close friends in baseball. He was in the press box. It was Dodgers Giants, and he saw me tweet it. He's like, "Bro, are you hacked?" Like everyone in the press box is wondering, and I'm like, "No, like this is happening. This is real." And all of a sudden, Harrison got pulled out of the bullpen and told that he got traded. I mean, it was just complete madness. So a lot of fun, but man, I don't think we're gonna have one at the deadline quite like this one.
How's your poker face when you're sitting on news like that? Like saying you have to sit in those extensions for 36, 24 hours. Like, do you get people like creeping through the woods, like trying to pick your brain, trying to see if they can get a tell off you?
Yeah, it's like, thankfully, none of those have happened like in a big crowd of people. So I've been very lucky to be home and just chilling with friends. But my friends, they can see that I'm stressing because I have like the worst poker face in the history of poker faces. I cannot hide it. And
what are you holding on to?
And I had my best friend visiting me in town in Arizona when I had the Merrill thing, and he knew, like I told him what was going on, and we were sweating it together. And yeah, I was told I could break it at this time. I could break it at this time. It kept changing. And then I had to set my alarm for like 3 a.m. at one point. And then they called me at midnight, woke me up, and they were like, "No, you can't tweet it till 6." I'm just like, "Oh my goodness, this is terrible." But no, it's a crazy game, but it's fun. It is a lot of fun, and at this point, it feels like I just talked to my friends. It's a good time.
Oh yeah, no, it sounds awesome. Robert, thank you for coming on, talking about the MLB trade deadline with us. We appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can follow you, and also talk a little bit about your podcast, The Baseball Insiders, as well.
No, I appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at @ByRobertMurray. I break my news there. I'll write stories and share them on there as well. The Baseball Insiders is a podcast I've done for a couple of years now. It's something I'm super passionate about, where I've actually broken news on there, which is always a lot of fun. So I'll unload my notebook as well. So make sure to tune into that and find me on fansided.com. But I really appreciate you boys having me on. This was an absolute blast, and you guys do a great job.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, no, appreciate having you on. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Make sure you're subscribed to the Mets'd Up Podcast YouTube channel to see the video version. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Schiano.
And I'm Draftneck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We will catch you all after the Royals series All-Star break. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.